That's why I wanted to see what it looked like. Because you ran those diplomas, it smudges. Certain pens smudge.
We're live.
That's why I wanted to see, you know.
Good afternoon. I'm now going to call the Wednesday, May 10th,
Sure.
2023 meeting of the Norfolk County Commissioners to order. I'm going to call the roll. Before I call the roll, I have to read the open meeting law here. On Wednesday, March 29th, 2023, Governor Colleen Healy signed into law Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act making appropriations for the fiscal year of 2023, which includes a 2-year extension of the option for public bodies to hold remote meetings by suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. That action was effective immediately and extending the current option for remote meetings through March 31st, 2025. I'm going to ask everyone to rise. Join me in saluting the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Roll call. Commissioner Stevens.
I'm present, sir.
Commissioner Collins.
Present.
Commissioner Shea is present. Next two items are placed on hold. Director Cronin, we're going to have executive session today.
No, sir.
Okay. Due to lack of a counsel today, he was in court. We're not going to have executive session, so we're going to go to number 5 next. With,
I don't think the minutes are ready, so
No,
I'm gonna
they're
make a
not
motion to table
Yeah,
the minutes.
right.
okay,
Move, we table approval of the meeting minutes of April 26th.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
motion made and seconded to table the minutes of April 26th. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Next, appointments, we have none. Next is public comment. Each day, each meeting, we have a public comment sector for those in the public who want to come, or Zoom, who are Zooming, that want to listen, to public comment. Director Cronin, do you have any?
I have not been made aware of any, sir.
Okay. Anyone in the Zoom land interested in public comment today? Seems very light today. How come?
There are 18 people, just not sure.
Okay. Okay, last call for public comment. Seeing none, we're gonna go to 8, old business.
Mr. Chairman,
Open,
there's someone,
Leah.
right, say.
all right, under old business? Go ahead. Go ahead, Leah.
Okay.
Yeah. I made a proud movie of a Norfolk County. The more they 10 years, I would have to say that door. Wow, but I do for and that it's the number one. It's the bride thing work. And hey, that is the number 2. It was so the Norfolk County appreciated it. Well, at time service, citizens at the Norfolk County 28 times. And being able to congregate them in your brain. At the earth, a great feeling. About it will be more that I work in the particular for the growth. We you continue to do the I continue to do the what it called and thinking that this
Okay, I will now be speaking for Leah. Those Leah, my name is Christoph. I've been an employee for coming up on 12 years now for the Registry of Deeds. See, I've been a proud, this is for Leah, I've been a proud employee of the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds for more than 10 years. I would like to share my thoughts on why we should approve the promotions to reinstate, the promotions and to reinstate the positions for the registry of deeds. First, it gives the employee pride in their work and enhance their self-esteem. Number two, it will show that Norfolk County appreciates them as as well as their time serving the citizens of Norfolk County's 28 towns. All in all, being able to confidently give your employee a promotion is a great feeling all around. Employees feel rewarded for their hard work and give potential for fuller growth. Please consider them to approve these positions and promotions and continue into the FY 2024. 2024. I thank you for your time and effort listening. Thank you.
Actually, I was saying, we took that out of order, but we'll continue on. It is on the agenda, of course. Was not the item next, but we're on old business, revision of the 24 budget regarding registry deeds positions. Now we're in order. Okay. Thank you. Who else anyone else want to speak on this matter?
When the time's appropriate, Mr. Chair, certainly here on behalf of the employees, as well as the registry.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, did we omit the opioid
No,
settlement
that
grant?
was my point.
Okay.
When I
Could we
opened
perhaps
up
just-
old business,
Well, could we go back to that and then just get that done and then take up the B, or do you want to go back?
no,
after?
let's stay on B. I
Let's stay
don't
on B.
wanna-
Okay, that's why it had me
I
confused.
mean,
there.
it's.
All right, so we're on
okay.
B.
We're
8B.
okay.
Okay,
I think any time is a good time to
Yeah.
register
that's fine.
under this.
So it's on the agenda now.
We're on old business
We'll go
and
back to something that's.
everything's listed on the agenda.
So, do you wish for Mr. O'Donnell
Sure.
to speak?
Have a seat.
The hot seat. Hopefully not, hopefully not. I sent out a letter yesterday to you just to give plenty of time, because, as you know, I spoke with Director Cronin last week. We corresponded with some emails. And I put it in the letter. I mean, there has to be a solution to this. And one thing I do agree with is, any promotions, they have to be funded in July, in July 1st. It does not make sense to give promotions and then have it go away. What I did in that letter, you got the letter, I hope you took it as a constructive letter, is to look at ways that this can be funded. And one of the ways is the county mandate. That's by state law, and again, Chapter 64D, Section 12, it's a state law that the registry is supposed to get a mandate. So I hope, again, in the spirit of trying to solve this, I attached the budget and it showed past mandates. And so the current mandate that you're using is 3.3, and Director Cronin sent over that the requests between the two positions and the temporary monies for three, valued employees who have worked for years amounted, John, what was the number? 148?
149.
Yeah, 149. I had sent over requests. So, we go with John's numbers. If we can't come up with $149,000, we can. I gave one solution. You can use up the mandate number, and that balances the budget. The other solution as well, I know it was mentioned by Director Cronin, is look at the deeds excise money. In fiscal year 22, and again, this money doesn't get collected by me, it gets collected by all the people that are behind here. They're part of a team. And by law, we have to collect deeds excise money. As we know, most of it goes to the state. But the county, Norfolk County, in fiscal 22, got over 3.8 million. That's in it. Add that, they have got almost $3 million of transaction fees. That's two separate collections that these registry employees give that come over here. And then there was monies collected by these employees, almost 2 million. The county got some supplemental monies, by state law, and those were sent over. If you add up those numbers, almost 3 million of transaction fees, the county getting almost 4 million. It's over 3.8 million, and almost 2 million for that supplemental. That's over $8.8 million. We're not touching that. I'm just trying to point out, these employees do a great job. And, I think we're the second busiest registry out of the 21 registries in Massachusetts. And I've said it all along, these employees do a great job day in and day out. It takes a while to learn. These are legal documents. They come in, they do a great job. They were open and operational. We were open and operational every day during COVID. So again, and never mind the modernization initiatives that, yes, I could say, hey, I want people to be able to research back to 1793, or hey, these old documents we want to transcribe, over 450,000 documents. That's vision. But the people that do the work day in and day out to get all these good things done at the registry are the people behind us. And again, the people that are over right now still taking documents. I want to solve it. One way to solve it is increase the county mandate by 100, whatever the number John has, 148,000, round up 150,000. But I wanted to point out, with the deeds excise, we're not touching the almost $9 million you got. Again, by statute, Chapter 64D, Section 12. And again, I know we're in litigation over it, but the statute, the registry gets 40% of what the share is for the county in total, and the county gets 60%. Well, our 40% share in fiscal year 22 was $2,557,666.81. In this budget, it doesn't factor in any of the deeds excise money that comes in for the registry to be used by the registry. So between upping the county mandate, and if you want to take a wait and see approach on the deeds excise, fine, but up the mandate and the two promotions get filled and the temporary monies get filled. We appreciate on the temporary monies, not a month ago, I wrote a letter over here and said what fine service, and Barry Hannon, and some people don't know who Barry Hannon was. He was the register prior to in the 1990s, and then Paul Harold. They all had temporary monies, and we submitted temporary monies, and it got cut. So we're just looking to get these reinstated. We're soundly managed, but to me, it's the people, and I can't stress that enough. I don't want to. I'd rather see my time so that we can have discussions. If there's questions, that's why I sent that out to you yesterday morning. If there's any discussions to be had to solve the problem, it's a solvable problem. By law, the county mandate, I believe, should be up higher. I think based on the past numbers, it should be up higher. And the deeds excise. So I would want to reserve some time to have some further discussion if need be. I would love to just see the monies get reinstated so that, people that deserve promotions, they all deserve promotions. I recognize there has to be budget cuts. I put in grade 15s and they were cut. Why do I put grade 15s in? There's candidates that put in for these positions that don't get it. In fact, this last go around, a candidate put in for these 13s that didn't get it. So there's always room, and people always want promotions. And I think I'll echo what Leah said. She was probably more eloquent than what I'm saying. It's good for the employees, it's good for workers, and it's good for the registry operations. And the registry operations, I hope you would agree, brings a lot to the county.
Commissioners, comments?
What's a situation, first of all, you should know that we are regarding very seriously. And I appreciate you coming here today. I appreciate your employees coming and the letter you're writing. I wish, truthfully, to be honest with you, Billy, we could have had these discussions a lot sooner and maybe talk like this rather than have litigations going on. One thing I read, without even consultation, and I think you touched on it, is that some of your letter, fortunately or unfortunately, touched upon a lawsuit, which is a matter of ongoing litigation, and I hope will be resolved at some point. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm out of line, but that matter is a matter of litigation. So for us to do anything without counsel or without that being resolved, I think that's it's maybe something we just can't act on, as much as we may want to. I respectfully will remind you too that prior to becoming a commissioner, when I was on the advisory board, I was sympathetic to your position in terms of the funding, you know that. However, the advisory board voted a certain way, the commissioners at the time voted a certain way, and based on our council, we have to follow that direction. And so even though you point out in your letter, the county auditor, and I caught that when that came out, I saw it, and I was troubled by it, as was all of us here, but we can't truthfully follow the county auditor when we have legal counsel telling us what to follow. So that is kind of a dilemma to me in terms of not looking for any sympathy. I'm sitting here, I'm very proud to be here. It's my job. We all embrace it. But I'm just saying, I think our hands are tied legally. Even if we wanted to say sympathetically, it might be something we want to do. However, the other thing that's intriguing to me, which I had town meeting, I had a lot this week. I maybe could have read this letter carefully. The mandate is something I'd like to learn more about. And the mandate still, though, I think ties into the ruling on the deeds excise or the ruling on the funding. The mandate, where you're saying it hasn't been increased. Mr. Chairman, I'm asking just rhetorically, but is that something that we or the advisory board is supposed to increase every year? And we haven't done that?
No,
Or is it, oh,
not as I understand
Okay.
it, but
I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No.
I'm not. I'm asking to learn. And the other thing is to John Cronin, if I could, through you, of course, Mr.
Sure.
Chairman. What's the effect if you raise the mandate and say, what is the effect on our finances? And the reason I say that, and I want to be full transparency, I do a little zoning. I know my business has kind of cooled off. Unfortunately, I'm looking at the receipts here. And compared to last year, we're in tough shape. We're not doing, you have to admit, we're not doing the volume we did, folks, as we did before. All right, it's no one's fault. I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. The economy is scary. The bank rates are uncertain. There's wars going on and all sorts of things happening. And so, to say that we want to make some increases on budgets or spend money that maybe we don't have, I'm really uncertain at this time. I'd rather actually truthfully tell you, whether you come back in the fall, maybe if you want, when we have a better feeling of how things are going and how the economy is going to go. We're looking at receipts that are definitely off compared to last year. And you can't argue with that. I mean, it is what it is. So my concern is just that legally, can we raise the mandate, or is that tied in again on that interpretation, or as Mr. O'Donnell states here, well, we're not following Mass General Law 64D. I mean, that's his view, respectfully. We took a different view based on our council. So can we do the mandate? Can we increase the mandate?
So you can't change the law. The law is 2.5% above prior year spending. So you can't
Okay.
change that, but you can provide or appropriate above that. That's your question.
That's my question.
Yes, and it has been done in the
has
past.
been
If you
done.
look at the budget,
Okay,
it would be shown under dedicated revenue.
okay.
That's usually where the additional funding for the registry falls. That's above mandate.
So regardless, and bear with me now, stay with me. Regardless of what baseline we're using, whether it's your interpretation or our interpretation, we're allowed to go over that amount. It's almost like a town, like a Prop 2.5 override, sort of, maybe something similar to that, maybe.
Similar
Maybe.
because it's 2.5. That's about
Yeah,
it.
Okay, now, so then if we were to do that, but where does that money or revenue come from? If we raise the mandate,
Mhm.
all right, as is suggested in this letter, where does that money come from? Does it then,
Come from any revenue source, but primarily registry of deeds.
okay,
Funding revenue sources. There are two major revenue sources for the registry: deeds excise and transaction fees.
all right. So without getting into the litigation matter, which I don't want to address, I don't think we should address, with all due respect, we shouldn't. I wish we could, but we can't. The mandate might be something to look at, if that's something we could do. I mean, if you're saying the board was inclined to raise the mandate, that seems like an option. I don't know if the board feels that way. I'm just trying to explore. a
Yeah,
solution.
I don't object to your thinking. I think we should be clear about the words chosen. Increase the mandate. What you're doing is you're increasing spending above the mandate. The mandate is 2.5% above prior year spending.
By year spending, right?
So you would be increasing spending above mandate.
But what's that number too? We don't even know. We can't decide that, right?
On any given year, it's an amount above that 2.5%.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I don't want to get into the transfer letter. I want to deal with that separately, with all due respect. I know you sent us 2 letters, but I want to stay on this one here. So that's my thought, Mr. Chairman, for now. I obviously certainly welcome your experienced counsel as well. But I mean, I think if there's a way, if you think as a way to address it, don't know if that's the proper course today, where I'm just really kind of wrapping my hands around it. But the mandate seems like the lesser of the two evils. I can't see dealing with the other thing, because I know that's clearly something we just don't agree on, and that's something that's being argued in the courts. So, all right, made my position clear, I hope.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Did you have anything else?
I'm good.
It doesn't make sense to me to increase spending when the revenues are down. I think it's fiscal mismanagement to do so. If this is a private business and revenues are down, you would do your best to hang on to your employees. And that's what you do. Say, the money's down. Why would you go above and beyond that? It doesn't make any sense to me. There's more I could get into, but I'll go with that for right now.
Well, I prefer to go along to constructive discussions that Commissioner Stady put up, but, you know, you use the word mismanagement, and it's not mismanagement. I mean, why would you hurt the people that collect the revenues for the whole state, the whole county? But first of all, the statute says not less than 2.5% is the county mandate. And this has nothing to do with the litigation. A budget has to be voted. You're voting a mandate now. It has nothing to do with differing interpretations. I know County Director Cronin and I don't agree on everything, but I think we would agree that the mandate is supposed to be 2.5%, at no less than 2.5% of the prior year's expenditures. It's a ballpark because the fiscal year hasn't closed. And that's why I think it's important to look at what the mandates were on the sheet I sent you on page 61. In fiscal 21, the mandate was 3.663666001. So over 3.6 million. In fiscal year 22, it's 3.7 million. Now, Commissioner Collins points out revenues, volume is going down. That doesn't mean you cut the people. These people still we do back indexing projects, never mind the training. I mean, some of the positions that are in front of you involve the land court, and the land court is a division of the trial court. It's very specialized, and both sides are specialized. So this request has nothing to do with the lawsuit. You could easily up the number that's in your voted budget, and I agree with you, Commissioner Stady. I know you had said, when the vote was taken on March 29th, hey, has this been circled back with the department head? So I'm glad we're having these discussions. I wish we had the discussions beforehand, because I would have said, you voted a mandate of 3.3 million. That's just an estimate, because the fiscal year 23 expenditures haven't come in. But look at what was the voted mandate was 3.6 and 3.7. And respectfully, Commissioner Collins, it has nothing to do with spending. By law, these are funding sources. The state law says the registry is supposed to get 2.5%, no less than 2.5% of the prior year's expenditures. So would you agree? Because I think you wrote something that possibly in the fall you were going to have to increase the mandate, correct?
Correct.
So why don't we just do it now so we can get the promotions? If you want to start the promotions July 1st, I'm sure the employees will shoot me for that. But I want this solved, because it makes, as I think Commissioner Shea said last week or 2 weeks ago, it doesn't make sense to have these promotions not funded in July. And I get that. That's what I'm here for. And so this has nothing to do with the lawsuit. A budget got voted in, and you may be increasing the mandate in September anyway. It has nothing to do with spending, Peter. The revenues coming in could drop off the cliff, and you're still responsible for the county mandate, which is 2.5% of the prior year's expenditures. Let's look at fiscal 22 on page 61 on the letter that was sent to you. And I mean, if you want to look at it, Peter, I mean, I appreciate that you're listening to me, but the figures, it says 3508088201. That's fiscal year 22. The mandate, so you got to go 2.5% ahead of that. The mandate for fiscal, let me get to it. It's on page 2. I said the math using this 3508088201 figure shows the legal county mandate to the registry of deeds ought to be 3,595,784,06 for fiscal year 23.
Say that again?
So if you use the fiscal 22,
Right, yeah,
the law says it has to be no less than 2.5%.
okay.
Now, if you want to keep it at minimum of 2.5%, that's your call.
Mhm.
So the math is this, Commissioner Stady, if you take 2.5% of that expenditure, 3,508,0821,
Mhm.
my math comes up with 3,595,784,06 for the mandate for fiscal year 23. So even if you used that figure, round it up to 3.6 million to keep it simple, you have almost 300,000 worth of increase that you could do based on history. I mean,
To follow up, if I could ask a question.
Go ahead.
All right. Why did then the mandate, we were at 3.6, then 22, 3.7, but then they approved 3.4? You're saying the mandate should have been,
Well,
is that because of that, again, the application?
no, I think
Again, the interpretation of
it's
what's
hard.
appropriated, what
And-
isn't?
Director Cronin and I have gone at it, no doubt.
Okay.
But I recognize when he's putting a budget together, it's hard to ballpark what the mandate should be.
Okay.
Me, and remember, I submitted a figure of 3.6, which you may or may not agree to. What I did, because we don't have fiscal 23 expenditures, I went 2.5% of 3,508 fiscal year 22. That gives you the expenditures for, the mandate for fiscal 23. And then I went 2.5% on that. That's just as much a guess as his 3.3. What I'm saying is, if you use the math of even the 3.6 or 3.5, you have room to go up 100. What's the number, John?
149.
149,000. And it solves everything. It gives these people promotions. It allows people that have given distinguished service to this county. I can't say enough about all three. I'm not going to single anyone out. Rich Kennedy, we've been around his first assistant, and he's great. Gary was Mr. Landcourt, and he's trying to pass that information on. And Rich Serrani's just done a great job for the county. It allows them, and never mind, to me, it's about the workers. They're the ones that make the registry tick. So you could increase that mandate. It has nothing to do with the revenues going down. The mandate is by law.
Okay,
Just increase it by 150.
What I'm trying to get at, again, is why there's a column that says actual, and then it says approved. So the actual was 3.5 million. Right, am I right on that? Mandated funding. Okay, it's actually 3.7 million,
Yes, that was for fiscal year 22.
22.
Now you
Now I
go,
go to 23. Why isn't that number higher?
it probably will be, right, John?
22 or 23?
23. John uses a figure. He's, and again,
I think, so is this figured out after the year's over? Is that what you're basically saying?
the close, but
Okay.
as the county director said,
Okay.
the mandate was probably going to be increased in September. Just do it now.
Okay.
Like, it's reasonable. Increase that,
Okay. I said-
the figure of three.
So it's in a
Yeah,
rear.
it's 3,305,713,18.
Okay.
I mean, personally, I don't agree with all the cuts, but I recognize you people make the decision. Add the 149 John has mentioned. If you add the 149 to that 3,305,713,18 figure, it funds the appropriations. You don't have to increase anything. You're just increasing the mandate, which by law, and that has nothing to do with the lawsuit. By law, I think we all agree it's supposed to be 2.5% of prior years.
So maybe the key question for me,
Awesome.
would it be safe to say, as far as we can crystal ball, is it reasonable to say that when we look, if we were looking at fiscal 23, you see where it says approved? If that said actual, like if we came back later, again, now we're getting in arrears, would that figure then be higher than 3.7 million?
3.7?
Yeah.
Likely not.
No.
Like, no. Okay.
Would it be higher than 3.4?
Would it be higher than 3.4?
We don't know.
We don't know.
I will tell you in FY 22,
Yeah.
leading into FY 23, we did the same thing. We
Yeah.
estimated how much spending the registry would have when we built the FY 23 budget.
Mhm.
And then in September of FY 23, last September, we revisited the appropriation and corrected it. It went up. It was around 70 grand bill, something like that. The spending went up based on actual numbers. We plan to do that in September, this coming September. Look at the actual spending and provide a corrected Band-Aid number then.
Okay.
That's the cycle of how we're going to handle it going forward.
Okay, I mean, so now I'm getting a better handle. And I have to say, I echo, I would say Commissioner Collins was echoing what I was trying to get at, though. My biggest fear coming over, to be honest with you, Willie, is that revenues, I know you're trying to tell me it doesn't matter, but revenues are going down. You know, we're not the same as we were 3, 4, 5 months ago when everything was going crazy. So I'm a little bit nervous today to be thinking about, you know, this kind of situation when I get a bar graph like this, a treasury, you know. So, I mean, it seems to me, as I said politely, I think this would be a matter, I think I feel more comfortable voting on the fall. I think we'd have a better handle, we'd have better numbers, and it seems like that might be, it may not satisfy you, and I commend you for working, I commend you, I respect you, Bill, I do. I know what you're doing, I know what you're trying to do, and people appreciate you as well. But where I'm sitting, I kind of feel nervous going forward on something like this today. I'd rather see this come back when we have a better handle on the economy and the numbers. That's what I'm just saying. Respect.
And if I could get a copy, I haven't seen that from the treasurers.
Yeah.
One thing that I just disagree with Director Cronin, when he said, you know, fiscal year 23, you can figure out what fiscal 23 should be right now. You take 2.5% of that 3,508,082,01 number. Take 2.5% of that. That's where you get $3,595,784.06. That's what the mandate should be for last year.
Right.
So round up, that's almost 3.6 million. You have 300,000 that you could go up by. We're just asking for 149, and to me, it solves the problem. You do it now. These people can start. They both, promotions go forward July. You could do it July 1st. Especially where I thought I heard County Director Cronin saying you were going to increase the number in fall anyway.
Right.
So why don't we just do it now? Everyone's happy. Everyone, no, well, not everyone. I mean, I recognize people that don't get promotions. I understand. If I didn't get a promotion, I'd be disappointed too. But pretty much this go around, everyone got promoted. So it's good for morale and it's good for it. And I respect that we're having this discussion because it is complicated stuff. However, the takeaway is this has nothing to do with the revenues going down. The mandate by state law has to be paid to the registry. It's a way to fund it. The state legislature, when they passed 64D, Section 12, said, this is how you do it. So is there any way that you can increase the county mandate by 149,000? Or if you only want to increase it 100, say 100 and use the collected deeds excise for the other 49. I personally would do the county mandate because just on the numbers, that 3.4 should be a 3.5. But even use the low ball figure of 3.4. You're in the ballpark, but that number, John, is that number going to go up?
Which one?
The fiscal year 23 mandate of 3,421,869.75. Is that mandate for fiscal 23 going to be higher than that?
You said FY 23, you meant FY 23.
No, the 23, because I'm trying to show, John, to address Commissioner Stady. See this number?
Yep.
He's this rightly so, but I'm just trying to show that numbers actually should be higher, correct? Because you're taking 2.5% of this.
I don't take 2.5%. I take 2.5% of the spending. One of the problems with that number from FY 22 bill is there are quite a few services that were provided that fiscal year you're not providing anymore. All the IT services, for example, have been consolidated under IT,
Right.
so your spending went down.
Spending,
It's not prior year appropriation.
well, respectfully, the statute, do we agree? The statute is 2.5% of the prior year's expenditures.
Correct.
This number is 3,508,082,01. Would we agree that's higher than this mandated number you have, correct?
Mhm.
So by statute, even if spending goes down, as you suggest, you have to take 2.5% of this number, which is
We
the
did.
3.5.
We did. We corrected your appropriation in September.
So, but that's what I'm trying to point out to Commissioner Stady. If you took 2.5% of 3,508,08201, it's certainly higher than the number of 3,421,86975, correct?
On its face, yes, but you're ignoring the fact that services that were embedded in that spending from FY22 have now been removed.
Yeah, but
They're not there
but
any longer. You don't do technology.
the
Hold
statute,
on, if I can.
the statute-
Go ahead, slow down.
Yep.
Slow down. I thought that during our budget hearing, I could be wrong, but I thought there was something we said, we're gonna charge back to the registry.
Correct.
Some of the things for IT.
That's
You
correct.
said that.
We are.
So if we're charging it back, indirectly or indirectly, isn't that still an expenditure?
Yeah, and it's shown on his budget as such.
Okay,
Yeah, it's right on the bottom line.
all right. I'd like to hear what the chair has to say. I think.
I want to go for a bit.
Go ahead,
wanted to
Commissioner
see.
Collins.
Oh, okay, sorry.
All right, so I'm talking here. So the register is telling you that he's the advocate for you. He's fighting for you. I disagree. And for many years, I had at one point 16 unfunded, 16 positions that were funded that weren't filled. What was happening was the registry was taking that money, keeping the money, and not filling the positions because they were needed. And that kind of went on for a bit. So we worked with the advisory board. They got knocked down to 8 jobs. We didn't fill them. Kept the money. Didn't fill your job. But now he's your advocate. So the budget came across to you that here's the budget. This is what the budget is. I assume the register knows what the budget is. I give him that. So knowing that there's no money in the budget for positions that he hasn't filled in years, he goes and fills it. So what does he do? Think about it. Think about this for 1 second. He posts positions that don't have funding. Gets people excited about those positions that don't have funding. People apply for those positions. They're interviewed for those positions. He says you're hired for those positions, but now we have to go to the commissioner's office. We just have to sign the blue papers. We sign blue papers all the time. All the time. You were asked to come over for this specific situation. It's different. This is different. So the register was chastised by the advisory board for having spent money that he didn't have in an account under Chapter 35. It's illegal. He's been chastised for that. He was asked to address that. He's being looked at by the advisory board about that. I'll let the register and the advisory board deal with that. We didn't chastise him for it, but they did. They did it the last advisory board meeting. If we were to have signed the blue papers that were sent over by the register last week, we would have violated Chapter 35. We would have violated because it wasn't funding in those unfunded jobs. There wasn't funding for it. We couldn't have signed it. It would have been illegal under Chapter 35. Now, one of the things the register said was that, why are we hurting you? Why are we doing that? I had said, I don't want to let anybody go. I don't want to let anybody go. He said, oh, you're going to cut people. I didn't say that. I said, we don't want to cut people. And when times are tough and when the volume's down and the money is down, you hang on to what you have and no one loses their job. That's why we're here. But think about it. The register ginned you people up with a promotion and new jobs that we couldn't do. And now we're the bad guys. But he knew what he was doing. And the way I see this as a twisted way to rile your people up, to weaponize them against the commission. That's the way I see this. And when I come back to the fact that the revenue's down, we want to keep every single one of you people. Every single person at the county is valued. Every single one of them. You are valued. We care about you. We care that you have a job. We don't want your job to go away. But does it make any sense to spend more money at the registry when there's less money coming in? Doesn't make any sense to me. And this individual brought lawsuit against us. Maybe there's another way to kick us. He's felt free to kick me for years. Thank you.
What's you say?
Okay. I don't know if I can follow that, but I'll try. The positions before us have been unfilled for significantly limited length of time. One is not funded for the 23 budget and the other is not funded for the balanced budget we passed last month for 24. We've all been reading in the registered newsletters and everywhere else. We're seeing a continued decrease in overall real estate activity with significant drops in mortgage activity, average property sales, and the number of properties sold. That's a given, and that's no one's fault. But it's a given, and that's how we operate. I understand that the register requested significant increases over and above the mandated 2.5 in the department budget, and we cut it back. I feel the same way, in which way you say it. With transactions down, revenue down, we should not be adding additional staff in 2024. When there were 16 and 8 unfilled positions in my earlier years here, and I was on the board, I was not chairman. I went right along with it like everyone else, but I never had anyone come and ask me, show me the budget and say, I'm eligible for that position. Why aren't I being considered? In addition, we talk about 64D, we talk about management letters from outside auditors. My hope, and we did not initiate this lawsuit, is that if all this comes out in the wash, I hope it will, because we're gonna go by, I hope all this money that we're expending and paying for lawyers isn't gone to waste, but I fear that it is. So I'm gonna seek more legal advice. We're here every week. Sorry. We're here every week. We passed, 2 weeks ago, we passed 4 of the 8 requests. Because you open there, look on the budget page, it's there. Boom, boom, boom. Names, it isn't that names don't mean anything. They certainly do, but we have a great history of supporting promotions in the past and blue papers that Registrar O'Donnell has brought to us. Well, I can see no immediate relief now. And I think this matter shall remain on the table for now. The increased, the last 2 months, we do look at the budget again. We're mandated to have it done by September. Everyone's talking about a September date. I certainly hope if something can be done, we would work with it, but I just don't see it today. And I think it would be insincerity at least and false hope. And I don't want to participate in that. Just as I participated in everything for 4 years that was put in front of me without any questions. So I would like to move on today. We have other issues. There's a very strong memo in here from the treasurer about spending. And that's
would think
certainly
it's,
going to affect what we do between now and September.
Based on our conversation, without belaboring it, unless you have something different to add, I said it respectfully. It's unlikely this is going to get moved today, but
Correct.
I would suggest, as I said earlier, I feel more comfortable and perhaps the board might be more inclined to look at it differently in the fall, based upon Director Cronin's comments, based on giving us some more experience. I'd be very happy to revisit it. You know, take some kind of action in the fall. I can't see it getting a substantive vote at this time for a number of reasons.
If I may be heard, certainly with respect to Commissioner Collins, he has his opinions as misguided and as misinformed as they are. Some of these positions that you talked about back in 2015, that was another regime. The monies that were funded would come back to the county, all that. What we're talking about is 2 positions right now. And no one told us, for instance, that Paul Bonda's position was being cut. That was in this year's budget. I don't need to hear about 2015 to justify why you're not giving promotions because it's smoke and mirrors, Peter. Bottom line is you're cutting an existing job. And I told you, and you didn't recall the last time when I asked you. Remember you asked, what about that vacancy? And I said, well, there's an arbitration. Again, there's 50 employees over there we have to manage. We collect $81 million. There's an operation to run. When someone files a grievance, potentially, depending on how language gets interpreted, they could win. A position was held. You cut that position. And then on April 20th, no one informed I want to say no, the attorney who represented the Registry of Deeds, who now evidently doesn't represent the Registry of Deeds, according to I guess, people. On April 20th, 2023 was the first time after I wrote that informed, the arbitration that started back in 2021 is dismissed. Well, we post the jobs. And one thing, again, Peter, I recognize budgets are complicated, and it's always complicated. That's why, I wanted John and Marguerite Lee to speak, and then with things happening, I spoke. You're wrong. There was money in this year's budget for this promotion. So if you're not going to do it for July 1st, I mean, don't stand there and say there wasn't money in the budget for them to be promoted this year. There's certainly for one position there is. And why did you cut the position out of the budget without discussing it with the register? Or how about the union? Do you have any respect for the union? You go there looking for union support. You know what? Union support, we have to be fair to the union. Did anyone go to the union and say, in this year's budget for next year, starting July 1st, we're going to cut, there's been 2 positions cut, but cut 1 position. Did anyone, I give Commissioner Stady credit. On March 29th, he asked, you got a budget, you voted on it, and he said, was the department head circled back? He recognized we weren't. That's why we're having this discussion. But there was money. It's not called ginning up anyone. No, what these people aren't coming here. They're coming here because when you make cuts to the union, you hurt the power of the union. When you make cuts to the union, you hurt their bargaining position, so you can steamroll them and give them low wages. When you cut union positions, you are cutting not only jobs, you're cutting promotions. And as was said by Leah so eloquently, promotions just make people feel good and that. So there was money. So don't say there wasn't money in fiscal year 23's budget for a couple of the promotions that are left. I agree. I think they should both be funded. But there was money and still is money in fiscal 23 for 2 of those promotions. Now, how do you split the baby? That's on you. To me, all these people deserve a raise and a promotion, and it can be done by increasing the mandate or taking a portion of the 2.5 million. Doesn't the registry get any piece of the money that comes, even if it's going down? That has nothing to do with the statute. So I appreciate that you're putting it off to September, but was some of the other budget things that you did over this year, was that put off? I know there was capital improvements to offices and to the bathroom. I know you're doing a weights and measures, which it was a $200,000 increase. You offloaded some of it into capital. I think the truck was 50 grand or more. So that's a significant cost. There's been other things, significant salary increases. So all of a sudden, we're fiscally conservative when it comes to the registry that provides the revenues. But there was a lot of other policy decisions that have been made which haven't been cut. So I just, I appreciate if you're going to do it into September, that's great. But if this is, the can doesn't have to be kicked down the road. If these positions, I didn't cut these positions, you cut them. You cut them. And if you came to me, I would have said, don't cut them because, that's why I wrote the letter to the attorney after you asked that question, like, hey, what's the status? Why did it take that long to notify me? That arbitration was going and it was on for a trial in after the fiscal year had closed, 21 into 22. And April 20th, 2023, the lawyer says the case was dismissed. So we post them. But why did these two positions cut? You're talking about 14 positions. That's back in 2014, 2016. You know what? I'm in the here and now. And in my letter, I said, I hoped we worked cooperatively. But based on some comments here, it has nothing to do
Which
with
is a
the
good
lawsuit.
thing. Which is
Yeah,
a good.
well, I keep saying I want to work cooperatively. It takes two. And I appreciate what you are doing. And I appreciate that Commissioner Shea said, sometime in September, but
Well, we're gonna look at the budget again in September.
Yeah.
We talked about that.
And
The first
Chairman
20
Shea has
minutes we
always
talked
said,
about
I mean,
September.
he's on record as saying, and I have it drilled into my head, that the budget is a fluid process, and man, it is. It really is. It's not like a town. It's constantly changing, constantly evolving. And I'll be honest, I was leaning and thinking one way when I got the report, and you may discredit it, you may say you don't know about it, but when our treasurer sends up information that shows like the revenues are dropping off a cliff, that gives you it's a, what do you call it, chilling effect? In law, sometimes they call it chilling effect. I mean, that was a chilling effect to me. I didn't know it was that bad. I knew things would slow down. We all have to admit that. I mean, I know receipts are down. I read your letters, Billy. I read everything, but I try to read everything. I don't read everything. But I mean, you see something like that, that's a significant hit. As I said, I think you've made a great case. I respect what you're saying. I think we're listening. I'd rather see this take up the fall. It's not the answer you want, but I think we see an opportunity here to revisit this issue in the fall. And I think we'd have a better handle on the numbers and be able to deal with it. I think.
We have to be able to apply time. Did you want to?
Just 2 points register, again, just dealing with facts. You were aware that Matt Dillon case was postponed in 2022. You were given written notification of that.
You said that last time and you're
I
going to
did.
send that to me and
I'd be
I
happy
still
to.
haven't got it because
I'd be
let me
happy
tell you, so you knew the case was dismissed.
I got the same letter you did from council.
Forward that.
Absolutely.
Forward that
Did you
letter.
also realize, and do the people behind you that are looking for these head clerk positions, do they know that you promoted somebody into a head clerk position last
Yeah,
year?
you said that last time.
I did.
So I guess.
Do you want to see a copy of that blue
Yeah,
paper
I
as
know
well?
I know it well. I manage and I know it well. Roberta Burke. So I guess I
That's
wasn't
correct.
supposed to promote her.
No, but
I'm not
why
gonna
did
hold-
she go into a head clerk position if you were hung up on an arbitration case?
I'm not going to hold up every position so these people get penalized because of an arbitration. One position, in essence, was held up because, you know what? Language, I at least recognize that sometimes when language gets interpreted, you might have to change things up. But bottom line is, are you saying I should have held up every promotion, including, I guess, Roberta Burke? She shouldn't have got promoted.
No, I think you should look at your budget,
Yeah, well-
realize one of the positions you asked to fill was not funded in FY '23.
And-
That was news to you when you came in to see us, and to suggest that you didn't know it, it's incumbent upon the department head to know what resources you have.
And yet.
You did not have that position to
you-
fund in FY '23.
You sat during that meeting while people were saying two positions were unfunded, and you knew in fiscal '23 there was money for two of these promotions. Yet it
One
was
of
said
these-
on April,
one of
on
these-
April 26th, you
one of
allowed
these,
Commissioner
Commissioner,
Collins
one of
and
these, sir.
others. You
One
never
of them.
corrected it. You never said, yeah, one of
The
them.
facts are uncomfortable sometimes when we're
Yeah,
discussing these
isn't
issues,
it?
and I see you get very uncomfortable
I
about it.
don't
But
get
when you
uncomfortable.
when you attack
I'm-
my commissioners, I have to share the
Well,
facts with the people
well,
behind us who hear a different
Yeah.
narrative. And the
I'm not
narrative is,
attacking the
you
commissioners.
knew you had
I'm giving
vacancies,
facts.
you didn't fund them. You deliberately tried to suggest to my bosses that it's their fault that these people aren't getting
Oh.
promoted. You have a budget. You were given a budget. You had a vacant position. The other one wasn't funded. You came forward 2 weeks ago trying to fill them, and it was wrong, Bill. It was wrong. And to suggest that this is on the commissioners is complete BS. And you know it. You
Yeah.
do.
Facts.
That's what they are.
Let's stick to the facts. On April 26th, you let it out there that there was no money for any fiscal year 23 promotions. We got 4 papers there. There's money for 2 of those promotions, correct?
There's money for those two
Yes,
promotions?
fiscal
No,
23.
no.
There's money in the fiscal year 23 budget. There's money.
No, there's not, Bill. Read your budget one more time. Tell the whole
yeah,
class.
yeah.
How many positions are funded out of the 2
Yeah,
that
I'm
you have
looking
people
at it.
queued for?
Yeah,
Did you
Yeah,
interview
all
positions?
funded.
Did you interview for
All
a
right.
position that's not funded in
You-
FY '23 register? Did you?
How about
did.
this? I am trying to settle July 1st, 2024, but more
You're selling a
importantly,
false narrative register.
the submitted registry budget had those 2 positions funded, correct?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, because you don't want to listen to facts.
Listen,
Who cut who cut the registry submitted budget, which had those two positions filled?
The registry's budget was balanced to 2.5% prior
No,
years.
well, the registry submitted budget for this fiscal year had those two positions filled and you cut them. Then in fiscal year 23, are you saying for this year's budget, out of the four that are left, there's money for two of those promotions?
I already answered your question. You're selling a false narrative.
Well,
All right,
I disagree.
listen.
Thank you.
I disagree.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to get discussion, that I'll make a motion that we table this particular item,
Second.
brought to our attention for further action later, perhaps in the
Okay.
year.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor of table? Aye. That's the end of this discussion for today.
No,
Thank you.
we have a second
Thank you
letter.
all for coming.
No, wait,
today.
we have a second letter.
Appreciate it.
There's a second letter. The request for a transfer. Right? Isn't there a second letter?
Well, there was actually three. There's the union promotions and positions that were
Well, I'm
in
reading here.
the budget. And then there was the
You have a
temporary
request-
monies
Request for a transfer of $15,000
between
from
codes.
dedicated, this is just a transfer.
Right.
Which from registry of deeds excise revenue into temporary salaries. You're asking 15,000.
No,
No? Okay.
that was
That's a couple of weeks.
that was a few weeks ago. The
Okay.
point on that is you approved it so they can work through June 30th.
Okay.
But now, because the second aspect of the 150 is the temporary monies, which July 1st you have zeroed out. So you can't increase the budget by 50,000 either through the mandate or the deeds excise so that the temporary monies could be done. And then there was a third transfer, which I didn't see on the agenda. We'll talk about that later.
So temporary salaries right now will have nothing in them?
Yes.
Zero?
We submitted a budget of $50,000
Right.
and it was cut. The temporary monies have been in existence at the registry since the 1990s.
Mhm.
Register, Hannon had it, register. Harold, and I've been there since 2002. So you can increase that, but you're right. Look, you approved it not a month ago, the increase for fiscal 23, so they could be paid through June 30th. So they could keep working and get paid July 1st. That's another request. So you had the union request, the promotionals, which we put in our registry budget, and there is still money in fiscal 23 for two of them.
Okay.
And
Or did you
the temp
identify,
salaries.
did you identify any funding source to put that money from where?
And you increase the county mandate by $50,000, or take out of the 2.5 million that we collected in fiscal 22, take it from collected deeds excise. We're entitled. The registry has two funding sources by law. The mandate of that, increase
That's
it
not
by
on the
50.
agenda today.
Oh, it's not? I'm sorry, I thought it
We're
was.
dealing with transfers next week.
Okay,
So
okay, because I
I'm going to
saw
go back to your
people
motion.
that I'm familiar with, and I hate to see people like this not help. This is not good. I said, this is not for discussion today. I
Sure.
apologize. Sir.
It's not on the
I got
agenda.
both
I
these
didn't
letters. I thought we were taking both up. All right, I withdraw
The
my
funding
comment
source.
on that.
Okay, so
I'm sorry.
the temporary monies you're going to put on for next week.
No, you had submitted a transfer as well.
No, it was three. You have the union.
But it's
position,
fiscal year
grade
24,
3
temporary
promotions.
salary code 110.
That's temporary salaries.
Right.
You're right. We put a request in
Right.
for 50,000. That was also April 26th. It came up and I said I would get a letter out. If you looked at the next day, I wrote a letter,
April 26th.
April 27th, saying that the 50,000, again, no one consulted with
Right.
myself or Rich Kennedy or anyone who got affected.
Those
Why
are
that was
FY
cut.
24.
Okay,
Right.
let's put this on the agenda for next week. This will be handled next week.
We're in process
Okay.
next week. It's 2 weeks.
Next week, Ellen? No, we're not.
No?
No,
I'm sorry,
we're
I'm
here.
sorry.
No, no,
It's
no.
2 weeks.
We're here. Because the advisory board meets next week.
Commissioner stated to the extent that you wish to continue a discussion about the registry's FY 24 budget,
Right.
that would be your motion. But to be clear, that request is to amend his 24 budget, which we're doing now. To the extent that you want to expand that discussion beyond the FTEs into the temporary employees, feel free to do so. There's a second correspondence from the register that was dated May 1st, and it's to transfer funds in FY 23. That's what we'll talk about next week, the transfer.
What about the temporary monies?
I yield to the commissioners if they wish to discuss that, because that's
I-
whole and part of the
I-
FY
I-
23.
Because when you say,
if I can speak, I have a sincere interest, I do, a strong interest and getting some temporary money in there because of some of the individuals who do a great job for this county. Now, Richie Kennedy is an outstanding individual. To lose a person like him, he does a yeoman's job. And if we don't have funding for him to continue, it doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense to me. Gotta be a way to work this out. So yeah, we have to put it on the agenda next week. Let's put it on the agenda next week. I'll put it on, move it, put this item in, but I had it divided in my head two ways. What you're asking for in terms of the other larger amount of money, I think is something we could take up in the fall. We increase the mandate. I'd like to see if there's a way to fund temporary salaries, even if it's temporarily, until we increase the mandate in the fall. You follow what I'm coming? So let's get creative. Let's
Well,
find.
we can't talk it out here now if it isn't properly before us. It's not properly before us. I mean, one day we all run down and talk to our lawyer. The next day we stretch it to the point of,
Commissioner,
we
it could
can't
be
have it both
discussed.
ways, and I'm an easygoing chairman, but
Commissioner, just to
no.
rule in, it could be discussed today because it is on the agenda as an FY24 revisitation.
What is it called?
We have on the agenda, which is what we're talking about right now, revisitation of FY24 budget registry deeds. This matter the Commissioner State is talking about is related to the FY24 registry deeds and the temporary positions. It was all part of the same memo that the registry put forward some time ago. So it could be in play today, or if you want to put it off to next week.
Well, when I'm reading my budget here, my agenda, and we get to old business, opioid settlements was first. We haven't got to it. Revisitation of the 24 budget, and off to the races we went.
Right, right.
I had no, I have all of those letters, and I carry them from week to week, and I have them in front of me. I'll read them. I'm not going to talk about it if I haven't had time to really get into it. I certainly have looked and looked and looked at these personnel issues since the blue papers arrived. So I'm not prepared to talk about it today. Commissioner
Oh,
Collins,
so I want to do it the proper way. So I didn't understand that they were tied at the hip. Is this something that we would need to take up next week then, to continue? The motion would be to continue this discussion next week, or do we have to wait till the fall?
You can carry it into next week. That'll be your last bite of the apple because the advisory board will be meeting that evening.
Yes, yeah, all right.
I'd be happy to put it on next week.
If you could put it on next week, maybe in the week
Temporary
that comes up,
salaries.
we could take
Yes,
a look at that. All right.
Yes,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I appreciate
all
that.
right. This
Thank you.
concludes a matter of registry budget for fiscal 24. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're
Thank
going to
you.
go under old business back to opioid settlement grant awards, the Norfolk County Community Coalition. The record-
Thank you, Commissioner. The commissioners have previously approved a total of 13.
Thank you. You're welcome.
I got a
Total of
Go ahead.
a total of 13 opioid settlement fund awards to Norfolk County Coalition members. Since those awards were made, I believe we did that in Quincy. We have 2 additional awards that have come in, one from the SAFE program in Franklin and one from the town of Canton. So before you was a request to fund those 2 additional opioid settlements, for those 2 additional coalition members at $1,000 per award. The funding source will be the same opioid settlement fund the county has received as a result of this matter.
Need a motion?
Yes, sir.
So I'd move approval of the granting of the opioid settlement fund in the amount of $1,000 each, one to the town of Canton's committee, is it CASA? Is it CASA or just the town of Canton?
Town of Canton,
Town of Canton, okay, and the other one to the SAFE organization
Franklin.
in Franklin.
Second motion made and second. All in favor? Aye. I have to apologize. We have a 1:30 bid opening. Are you folks here for the bid opening? No. Okay. Do you have any matter on this?
Number 11.
Okay, we're gonna go right, well,
Okay.
1 minute, we'll get to number 11. I thought you were the people bidding for a rubbish removal and you had to sit through all that.
Oh, no.
Okay, well, okay, then we're not way out of whack. Okay. Come on in, Vance, we're getting very close here. Whole business is done. Personnel matters. First one is at the Norfolk County Agricultural School, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at Wallaston Recreation Facility. Only take a minute.
You want to do that?
Yes.
Okay, I thought we were 13, sorry. All right, so Mr. Chairman, I move for first Norfolk County Agricultural High School, notice of resignation, Leah Gray, Whitman, Mass, student worker, effective 5/5/23. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye, it is a vote. Next.
The next one,
Wallaston.
Wollaston Golf Course Recreational Facility. These are all contingency employment. I'll move the following. Is that Rick Fitzpatrick? Was that
It is not.
Okay, okay. Well, that's strange.
I checked. It is not.
Richard Fitzpatrick of Quincy, grounds crew at the effective rate at a date of 5/10/23. They're all 5/10/23. Brennan Shapiro of Boston, Andrew Isberg of Boston, Ryan Shields of South Boston, and Janelle Stedman, I know, of Canton, Mass. And these are all contingency employment, and they're all at the rate stated, and it's 5/10/23. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to accept the contingency employment for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 folks at the Wallaston Recreation Facility. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
And registry of deeds, are we moving on these?
Those are the ones we're done.
Those are the
It's
ones,
September, right? You want to
those
do
are the
this?
ones in discussion.
Okay, so nothing on that, right, Mr. Chairman? I
Let's
think
do
that's it.
payroll warrant and then we'll do the
All right.
opera premium.
Norfolk County's payroll warrant list, Mr. Chairman, as of 5/10/23. Several here. Number 23-45, payroll of the county, $147,243.13. So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
23-44, payroll of the county, $186,767.79. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. It is a vote.
Third item, 23-44.1, payroll of the county, $64,899. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a
Next,
vote.
23-44, parentheses 22, payroll of schools, $356,037.47. So moved.
Second.
Motion made second. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
Another one for the school, payroll, 23-44, 22.1, the amount of $2,640.99. So moved.
Motion made second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is a vote.
Next to Western Wallaston Recreational Facility, 5-123 for Wallaston Recreational Facility credit card payment, $31,064. So moved.
Second.
Motion made second. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
Second one, 5-123-1, Wallaston Recreational Facility sales tax, $595.03. So moved.
Second.
Motion made second. All in favor?
Aye. And the rest are all expenses. First for the county, 5-0223, expense $671,150.52. So moved.
Second.
Motion made second. All in favor? Aye. It is a vote.
Second one, 23-11B, expense for the school, $112,950.45. So moved.
Second.
Motion made second. All in favor?
Aye. Last one, Mr. Chairman, 23-11A, expense for the school, $19,400. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
That concludes that, Mr. Chairman.
Number 11.
You want to take the bid openings on board?
Oh, yeah.
Scheduled
Well,
at 1:30.
we're already
Well past that.
well past that.
Yeah.
I'd like to get to number 11. We'll get to bids right away. Number 11, report on American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, discussion of opera premium pay benefit for non-union county side employees. Director.
Thank you, Commissioner Shea. The commissioners may recall that last fall, they approved an ARPA grant application, which was approved ultimately, for funding premium pay for non-school county employees. That would include individuals covered under the 3 collective bargaining units for maintenance, engineering, and registry, as well as non-union members. The task before any grant associated with premium pay is to ensure that the lowest paid employees get paid first. That has been achieved. All 3 unions have ratified their respective contracts, and the funds associated with those awards have been dispersed. This afternoon, requesting your approval to disperse the funds associated with the non-union portion of that grant. That would include a total of 30 FTEs who make below the average salary as recommended by the Department of, I think it's Department of the Treasury's associated with the final rule, which I think the guideline was $125,000 at the time of the grant award. This would affect, as I mentioned, 30 FTE non-union people. So before you is sort of an acknowledgement that we are prepared to move forward with those particular premium pay awards through your vote today.
And the departments are
So it will affect
just. the
non-union members of the Commissioner's Office, Engineering, Maintenance, Registry of Deeds, and the Treasurer's Office. As well, oh, I'm sorry, and Walsh Recreation Facility.
Okay, any questions, commissioners?
Is there an amount we're voting at this time?
It'll be $60,000.
Any comments?
You've already previously
Ladies
approved the
and-
grant, so this is of that.
Yeah.
See it approved. I just want to see it approved.
Okay,
Been,
well,
we've been working here for over
Stay right
34
there.
plus years.
this is gonna take long. Anyone else wants to speak on this matter?
So we previously approved it
As a grant.
as a grant.
Yeah.
The union's got it,
Yeah.
and after the last one
I'll
settled,
move it. I'll move
we're
it.
ready to go.
Move forward on it. It's fine.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and seconded. I have a comment. Just, we haven't got to the school yet,
Correct.
for all the notes. Okay.
On school, we're very
Okay.
clear about that.
We're getting-
Yeah.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you for your hard work.
I wish I knew it as we started. We would have started with that little candy before the.
Have a good day. All right, it would have been, yeah.
Opera warrants for approval. Oh, no, let's go to bid openings at
Let's
one
grab
thirty.
Nancy. She's been waiting an hour.
Poor Nancy, I'm sorry.
Nancy.
It's like I'm in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
Go ahead.
This is a bid for rubbish removal for various county courthouses. 3 bids went out. We have received one from All State Waste out of Bridgewater, Mass. Um, 3-year bid, first year for Brookline. 4-yard container, $375. 2 pickups a week. Extra pickup cost $65 per yard. Loose pickup $35. Denim 10-yard container, 4 pickups a week, $1,264 a month. Extra pickup $135. Loose yard pickup $35. Quincy 8-yard container, $999 per month. Extra pickup, $105 a month per yard. Loose pickup, $35. 6 96-gallon recycling totes, 1 times a week, $258. Stoughton 6-yard container, $189 a month, 1 pickup per week. Extra pickup cost, $85. Loose yard pickup, $35. Rentham 6-yard container, $250. Extra pickup, $85 per yard, $35. Year 2. Brookline Court, 4-yard container, $405. Extra pickup, $70. Loose yard, $35. Dedham, 10 cubic yard container, $1,327 a month. Extra pickup, $145. Loose yard, $35. Quincy, 8-yard container, $1,001. Extra pickup cost, $115. Loose yard, $35. The recycling totes, $271 per week. Stoughton 6-yard container, $189. Extra pickup, $90. Loose yard pickup, $35. Rentham 6-yard container, $263. Extra pickup, $90. Loose yard pickup, $35. Year 3.
Okay, so, oh, sorry.
Year 3.
Go ahead.
Oh,
What you asked?
my God. I mean, are we factoring in Quincy in here? Closing at
Yes,
Quincy
but there,
Court?
yes, we are, but because there's a section saying that they will be taken out.
Okay,
If,
if
that's
needed.
built, that'll be built in. Okay, all right.
I'd be shocked if it's in the next year, though.
Yeah.
They're looking to have us man it, continue what
Yeah,
we're doing.
that, I knew that,
Okay.
but at that point, after that first year, it's clear it could be
We'll have to cut
something
those
else.
out.
So that's why I wondered. if we
Yeah, I
factored
put
it
wording in.
So you put
Okay.
that, beautiful, follow that. I keep hearing Quincy, I'm like, wait a minute.
Right.
Okay, sorry.
Year 3.
Yep.
Brookline. 4-yard container, $425 a month. Extra pickup, $75. All the loose shot pickups are $35.
Okay.
Dedham 10-yard container, $13.93 a month. Extra pickup, $155. Quincy 8-yard container, $1,114. Extra pickup, $120. The 6 recycling totes, $285 a week. Stoughton 6-yard container, $275. Sorry, $207. Extra pickup, $95. Rentham 6-yard container, $276. Extra pickup, $95.
Is that the present contractor?
The present contractor did not submit a bid. This is the previous contractor.
We bounced around. Okay. Any other questions, Commissioners?
Taking,
Take the motion. No, we're gonna take it on.
yeah, so we take the bids as presented, under advisement.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Taking the bids on the guys. Next, contract for the gymnasium painting at the Norfolk County Agricultural School dance.
Yes, it's recommended contract be awarded to Tackle Contracting for the painting of the gymnasium in the amount of $24,700.
How come we didn't have the sheriff's department do it this time?
I think it might be a much larger job than previously. Um,
What they do before.
Free. We paid for the paint. We bought him lunch.
I think Nancy's right. From what I know from the scope, it was comprehensive. They're looking to pretty much do the whole gymnasium. It wasn't just the walls.
Okay.
So I think we'll look for.
Okay.
there's repair, there's wall repairs and everything else. So recommend award to Tackle Contracting, lowest qualified bidder at the amount of $24,700.
I'll move approval of the bid.
Make a motion to take it over to advisement.
Oh,
No,
Oh,
no,
no,
this
this
is
is
the
contract.
award.
Wait, okay,
no,
sorry.
we're waiting for
Okay,
that.
I'm sorry, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
second, sorry.
That's right.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. I'm gonna just mention
So it's
this
Catco
is
contracting.
usually done in the summer because they takes
Yeah.
a couple
Right.
of weeks, so we've got to get this.
The amount was, was $24,700
That's fine.
Right.
for painting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is an award.
And he wants to sign all these?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's just a top page.
Just the top page.
All right, there you go. And this one, right? You read those about a month ago, right? A couple weeks ago. I remember that though.
Yeah.
Because the bids were all over. weren't
Oh,
they?
yeah.
You had some high ones, low ones. I
Yeah.
remember that. Amazing.
While we're signing, folks, we're gonna go to number 15.
Okay.
Receipt of order of taking from Massachusetts Department of Transportation,
Sure, yes, thank you.
Highway Division for the Right-of-Way Bureau. For project in Milton, it's known as Milton 2023, file number 607342, layout number 8846, alteration. Order of taking for highway purposes, parcel 8A and 8B inclusive along Randolph Avenue, which is known as Route 28, and Chickatobit Road within taking. Filed in the Norfolk County Clerk's Office, volume 32. Page 2196. Patrick, how we do, we're in where we should be on this?
Hi, Commissioners. Yep, everything looks good. Just request the Commissioners take a vote to authorize the chairman to sign the receipt. Thank you.
Second.
Motion made, seconded to
Allow the chair to sign.
allow the taking did take place on project file number 607342 layout 8846 in the town of Milton. All in favor? Aye. It is a vote. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Pat.
Report of the county director.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Few items. First, speaking of Patrick, he's informed me that his team will be doing their annual OSHA training offsite on May 18th and June 7th. Reminder, the advisory board scheduled for next Wednesday, May 17th, will begin at 5:30. The playground ribbon cutting. I believe we have some elected officials that'll be joining you at that time. I'm pretty sure it's a rain or shine event, but probably more shine than rain. So we'll see how that plays out. 6 o'clock dinner, and the meeting will promptly start at 6:30. The Finance Committee will have a separate meeting on May 16th at 1:15 PM. That meeting will be remote.
What day is it? I'm sorry, May
Uh,
16th?
Yes,
You're saying, okay.
next Tuesday, 1:15. This coming Thursday, Friday, I can't remember which, Michelle has kindly scheduled interviews for Mr. Buckley and her to interview candidates for the Weights and Measures Program. So I think I mentioned the commissioners would receive a variety of different levels of skill and experience for this resumes for this position. We selected the top two that seemed to be most eligible and qualified. We'll report back what we find. Commission should know on Tuesday, I had my most recent department head meeting a little out of turn. We try to keep it on a quarterly basis now, but we met in May, having already met in April, to just go over the upcoming advisory board cycle. Let everybody know what was going on as we approach the end of fiscal year 23. I want to give a big thanks to our facilities maintenance crew. The hard work over a series of days to help Clerk Arthur Tobin and Judge Coven pull off what I thought was a spectacular day for former Attorney General Frank Bellotti in the event of his 100th birthday on Law Day in Quincy. It was a wonderful day. The court looked great, and it was a very well-attended event. Finally, I just want to let the commissioners know that due to decreasing revenues and some correspondence I've had with the county treasurer, I'm going to be coming back next week with the recommendation to institute a spending freeze for the remainder of FY23. This is in large part due to, as Commissioner Stady was saying earlier, what is observed to be a decrease in revenues across the board, but namely, we're looking at approximately $500,000 to $550,000 shortfall at this time. The spending freeze and the details will be revealed next week, but we're looking at primarily group 3 items that are discretionary in nature. Obviously, if it's a contractual obligation or anything associated with salaries and so forth, we don't touch those, we pay those. I'm also looking at narrowing the scope to exclude the schools at this time. Spending freeze on their account doesn't really get us any savings on the general fund that we're hoping to achieve. This is a belt tightening event that was similar to the one that the county did in April of 2020. I think it was the last one that was done. We're looking again to achieve a very healthy close to FY23 with reserves to bounce into FY24 in a favorable way. And at this time, I'm only recommending that the spending freeze that you'll consider next week in a vote will be through June 30th. This time, I don't envision having it extend into the first quarter or beyond July 1st. We'll evaluate the impact of what these revenues are looking like at that time. I can't rule it out, but right now, as we approach the end of fiscal year 23, it's important that people understand the need to restrain any discretionary spending and close out 23 in a favorable position. This information has been shared with the chairs of the Finance Committee and the Advisory Board. I will probably make a remark to this effect next Wednesday evening as well. So details on the proposed motion and the scope of this will be before you next Wednesday, the 17th.
Okay.
That is all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You remind me that we were all there, so that's a great job. Everyone did on Law Day. We were going to Law Day last. Well, I went when I was the city clerk, and it's a project that's near and dear to Clerk Tobin's heart. But the addition of Frank Bellatti's birthday really put it over the moon. And I want to shout out to our John McGowan in the maintenance department for the terrific job that they did in preparing us for Law Day. I know the crew at Quincy did a great job, but John brings in, the extras and the carpenters, and the electricians, et cetera. So they did a great job, makes us all happy, and everything looked great. I have nothing else. I do have a couple of tributes here, but does anyone have anything else for the agenda? Not anticipated.
No, I think that it's a privilege, and all of us were honored to be there at an incredible event. There was a number of people there, a number of former officials,
Oh, yeah.
president. It was like a who's who of politics. It was an amazing turnout for an amazing man. And I think all of us that went, and some of us went to the restaurant afterwards, I was totally impressed with the lucidness of Mr. Bellotti, even after a long day and afternoon of people shaking hand, congratulations. Just an amazing person. So hats off to him. And everybody had put together. It was a great job. Terrific job.
No question about it. He's as sharp as a tack and gives you something to look up to. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about making it to 80 and he's 100 and
There you
he's
go.
sharp as a tack.
There you go. So,
Last call.
motion to adjourn?
Before we adjourn,
Oh,
I just want to mention, we lost two people in our county family, so to speak. We lost Mark Lee of Norwood, a former selectman, a former member of the advisory board. Gary Lee, I'm sorry, Gary Lee, who of course is the husband of our first assistant register of deeds, Marguerite Lee. And last night we were informed that Mary Lou Parrish, late of Newton, but a longtime Canton resident, passed. Mary Lou is the mother of Mark Parrish, who is a member of our agricultural school board. So I want to adjourn this meeting in memory of Gary Lee and Mary Lou Parrish.
I'll move on that note. Mr. Chairman, that we adjourn. And we have a meeting next week, correct? We have
I'm
a
sorry,
meeting.
I keep thinking we're going to Barnstable next week
We'll rush it later.
for a joint meeting.
We'll move adjourn to 2:27.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much for a regular meeting next week.
Good.